America's top ghost hunters relive their most extreme assignments.
Something was hunting me this whole time.
Hardened veterans of the paranormal, these are the cases that truly tested them.
I don't think I was ready for this.
In Ohio, things get ugly in a beauty salon, plagued by something malevolent.
It just felt really dangerous.
In Michigan, spirits roaming an isolated island don't take kindly to the first paranormal investigation conducted on its shores.
There is definitely paranormal activity.
Everything in your body is telling you to leave.
No.
And in Indiana, ghost hunters unleash evil when they investigate a historic home.
What does it want? What does it want to do?
An hour outside of Cleveland, Ohio, is the village of New London. It's home to just 2,500 people, including Shannon Dyer. She owns and operates a popular hair salon. Her business is thriving, and she loves being at work until strange things start to happen.
Please help me.
Hello? Somebody here? Somebody here? Hello?
Everybody was hearing these whispers, hearing voices talking when there was nobody in the room.
Please help me.
Somebody here?
There were all these other physical things going on. They had instances where things were flying off shelves, hitting the floor and breaking for no apparent reason.
Please help me.
Customers would be in the tanning bed. And the top might not open.
Oh my God! I can't get out! Open it! Help me! I can't get out! Oh my God!
Are you okay? No, wait, it won't happen again!
A lot of really negative activity reported. She was afraid to be in the building by herself. And it really had her scared.
Terrified, Shannon turns to paranormal investigator John Hines for help. With more than 20 years' experience, he knows all the risks that come along with hunting ghosts.
Investigating the paranormal can be dangerous on a number of levels. I have been involved in plenty of investigations where people have been hurt. There can be entities that can see us and hear us, but we're not able to directly see them. What most interests me about investigating the paranormal is trying to find answers, not only for my clients, but for myself as well. In talking to Shannon, finding out how scared she was, we wanted to get in there as soon as possible. We definitely wanted to investigate to find out for her sake what was going on.
Joining John on this investigation is his daughter Caitlin and his wife Cindy. When they arrive at the salon, Shannon is visibly upset.
She clearly didn't really want to go into the building. Walking in there with her, you could tell she was on edge. She really wanted to get out of there.
The team begin their investigation.
Why don't you guys go ahead?
Cindy stays on the main floor, while John and Caitlin head down to the basement to explore an area where much of the activity occurs.
When we first walked into the tanning room, it felt really, really warm and actually almost stuffy. A lot warmer than the rest of the salon.
Sensing they are not alone, they start an EVP session.
I identified myself, which is what we always do when we start.
My name is John. This is my daughter, Kate.
I was trying to call out any kind of entity that might be there. I asked if it might want to say hi to Caitlin.
Would you like to talk to Caitlin?
And immediately we did get an EVP that said, hi, Caitlin.
Yeah, I heard that.
I do.
The EVP sounded like a child. It was almost a whisper. Hearing something say hi to my daughter, it's a point of concern, and it makes you want to dig deeper to find out what exactly did just say hi.
It's Gracie.
Very shortly after that EVP, we started hearing these whispers.
It's Gracie.
What we were hearing sounded a lot like what Shannon had told us she was hearing.
John is determined to seek out whatever is in the room with them. He decides to provoke the spirits with a bold move.
Dad, you sure about this?
Yeah.
So I decided to lay down in the tanning bed and pull the top down. It's really kind of a tight space. There's not a whole lot of room to move around. You almost feel like you're laying in a coffin.
You okay in there?
What's that? Hurry, let me out.
Dad, I can't open it.
When I went to get out of the tanning bed, I was surprised to push it from the top,
Let me out.
and it wouldn't lift up.
Caitlin, come on.
I can't open it.
I kept trying to push on this thing, and it was almost like it was locked down. That top just wouldn't open.
Open it up.
This is not good. It is a
Caitlin!
really scary feeling.
Let me out.
The more that you need to get out of it, the more that lid does not want to open.
I'm pushing as hard as I can.
There was something holding it down. It wasn't just a human haunt or somebody playing games. It was something that was strong enough to hold that door down.
Let me out.
We were dealing with something that had some power to it.
Open it up. Let me out.
In Ohio, ghost hunter John Hines investigates a haunted beauty salon.
A warm breeze was blowing through here.
He dares the spirits by laying down inside a tanning bed.
You almost feel like you're laying in a coffin.
And that's when he's attacked.
Caitlin,
That top just wouldn't open.
I'm pushing as hard as I can. Let me out.
It definitely was trying to get my attention, and it did.
Finally, the lid releases. But the spirits aren't finished with John or Caitlin yet.
We heard a really loud bang, almost like a shotgun, that seemed to reverberate throughout the entire salon.
This happens all the time.
Cindy, are you okay?
John takes the noises as a warning from the
I
spirits.
think you better come up.
Concerned, he and Caitlin rejoin Cindy. As they plan their next steps, so do the spirits.
While we were talking, we heard just this crazy crash.
What is that?
Of course, it got all of our attention. What we saw was that a jar had come off of a shelf. It had to have flown 3 or 4 feet, and it hit the floor. Whatever's here is strong enough to throw things off of shelves.
John is now sure they are dealing with intelligent entities, many of them evil.
Something pretty negative was doing things that were dangerous.
Their K2 meter starts spiking.
Dad, you have to see this.
Look at that. And it's hitting red. Let's do it again.
Dad, this thing is going crazy.
It's aware of you, and it knows that you're aware of it. So at this point, you're thinking, okay, where is this thing going to go?
John takes it as a sign to end the investigation for now.
We're gonna come back tomorrow.
We didn't want to do a whole lot of provoking, but we did want to come back and do a second investigation.
Before returning, John researches the history of the building.
I just wanted to have a better idea of what we were dealing with, just in case there was more than just something bad there.
What he discovers is troubling. A family who once lived in the building lost their 10-year-old daughter, Gracie, under tragic circumstances. And there was another death on the property.
A man who we weren't able to identify was killed. He had been in a car accident just outside the building, and he died from blunt force trauma. If you have something tragic that happens, the energy of whatever that was can wind up trapped there. We wanted some validation on what might be there.
With this new information, John is ready to return to the salon. And when he does, things are worse than ever.
The activity at the salon continued to escalate.
Hi, Shannon.
She was so on edge. It almost felt hostile. There was just something about the environment there. You really felt like just turning around and walking back out.
Joining the investigation this time is psychic Deanna Reynolds.
Walking inside the salon, it felt active. I could tell there was some entities definitely interested in what we were doing there. They were watching us set up and wanted to communicate with us.
What is it?
There's a lot of spirits here.
They start an EVP session to learn more about the spirits.
Do you remember me from last time we were here? Not sure what he is.
The entity is in no mood for small talk.
What I heard.
Its attitude is worrying.
I was definitely concerned. I would say even a little bit scared. This thing was aware that we were there,
It's a man.
and it definitely didn't sound like anything that was overly friendly.
Then, Deanna senses something else is trying to communicate with her.
It's a little girl.
I had got the letter G in relation to this little girl.
What's her name?
Her name is Gracie.
Gracie.
I had gotten some contact from this little girl,
Hi, Gracie.
and she let me know that she had been very sick, and that's how she passed. Gracie was very determined to let someone know that she was there, and she also wanted to find her mother.
John believes that this is the same girl who died here and wants to learn more about her. He starts another EVP session.
My name's John. What's your name?
It's Gracie.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Gracie?
And I said, where are you now? Very shortly after that, we got an EVP. It sounded like a young child saying, at the hospital.
At the hospital.
Suddenly, Deanna senses a malevolent male energy infiltrate the room.
My head started really hurting.
Oh, gosh.
She's frightened for Gracie.
It seemed like she was kind of being held there against her will. The darker entity, the evil man, as Gracie was calling him, he threatened her. She didn't like being around him.
The atmosphere is charged with negativity. It radiates throughout the room.
We started hearing the floorboards creaking, and then we heard what sounded like footsteps.
Are you okay?
There's something else here. There's something here with us.
It sounded like people running around us.
What is it?
I don't know.
Then it started increasing. It was picking up all around me. Running past me, they were above me, they were below me.
It was really creepy.
There's something really bad here.
All this activity terrifies the team, but worse is to come.
It felt like the whole building shook. It almost felt like an earthquake.
Paranormal investigator John Hines and his team are under siege at a haunted beauty salon. Sinister spirits surround and threaten them.
It almost felt like an earthquake. It literally was almost like a bomb had gone off over every square inch of the building.
Something was definitely there. It wanted us gone. It was trying to scare us into leaving.
It was really scary.
Panicked and afraid of what might happen next, John decides to end the investigation.
One of the very last things that we did was say a prayer of protection.
Send an angel from heaven!
Things were escalating just really fast. We needed to end the investigation before one of us got hurt.
Amen!
The following day, John reviews the evidence with Shannon.
Look, we've got all kinds.
Well, our final findings were that there were multiple entities there.
Got the recordings.
Definitely Gracie.
It's Gracie.
Also negative forces that I believe are still there.
There's something really weird going on here.
And those forces probably are not going to easily go away.
John suggests an exorcism to remove the entities that lurk inside. Shannon declines.
So a client might decide, if I have something done, what if it gets worse instead of gets better?
I can't risk it getting worse.
So they feel that maybe the state of things right now is preferable to something that is completely intolerable.
To this day, the salon remains haunted.
I do wish I could have gotten rid of the twisted man. I do hope that she can get rid of him at some point.
I do believe that this is a danger to Shannon's business. I know that in talking to Shannon after this, she still worries about it. There are entities in this building. These entities are around her. She does have concerns for her business, and definitely for her customers too.
Still to come, ghost hunters open the door to a frightening night when they enter a home with a long history of hauntings.
I felt like I was going to have to fight for my life.
But first, paranormal investigators go to a remote island and learn the hard way that they are not welcome.
It was scary. Definitely scary.
Off the coast of Charlevoix, Michigan, lies Beaver Island. Once a desolate land, it was the site of many shipwrecks where thousands lost their lives. In the late 1840s, it was home to a Mormon colony, led by James Strang, their self-proclaimed king. While he is credited with building up the island after just a few years, his followers came to resent him.
He had some good intentions, but he loved that power, and he abused it.
During his reign, Strang was accused of treason, theft, and widely criticized for being a polygamist.
King James Strang cultivated fear among his followers. I think he kind of ruled with an iron fist.
In 1856, it all came to a violent end.
Eventually, he was assassinated by his own followers. Lured him out to a dock area on the island. Shot him in the back of the head.
After his death, an angry mob drove out Strang's remaining disciples. Their homes were burned to the ground, the only building left standing, an old print shop. Since then, residents and visitors have reported strange occurrences all over the island.
People mentioned feeling very uneasy there. Like they were always being watched.
Hello?
There was paranormal activity.
Hello?
Footsteps, disembodied voices.
Is anyone there?
The stories capture the attention of paranormal investigator Todd Bonner. He has been hunting ghosts for nearly a decade, and while he always goes into an investigation prepared, he knows to expect the unexpected.
What interests me in the paranormal is the unknown. I usually get nervous. I've been scared and terrified, but it hasn't stopped me from doing this.
For this investigation, Todd brings along psychic medium Brandy Miller and fellow ghost hunter Jeff Atkins.
We definitely thought that it's a possibility that James Strang is still hanging around there in the spiritual form. But given the history of the island, I figured that he's probably not the only spirit we would encounter.
The team is eager, but also nervous.
There's the bay.
There's really no serious cell signal.
Downside of being 35 miles off the coast of anywhere, you are really there for the night. There's no way off the island. It makes anything you experience more scary because it's not like you can just leave. We're gonna show you what we can of the house.
Hello.
They meet the head of the Historical Society in the museum,
Hello.
which was once the print shop.
Thank you.
So, where is the activity happening?
Down here.
They can sense sorrow all around. The atmosphere worsens when they move into the room dedicated to King James Strang.
That's it.
His portrait gives them chills.
I almost feel like it radiates energy.
Dark energy. His eyes seemed black, very ominous. He just looked like an evil person.
Brandy suddenly senses multiple entities all around.
There's many spirits here.
They start an EVP session to find out who or what is present.
Who's here?
We asked a series of questions. Are you stuck here? Can you leave freely?
Do you choose to stay here, or are you stuck here for some reason? Say choose to or stuck here.
Stuck. It's kind of interesting when they answer a direct question like that. We ask, are you stuck here? And they answered, stuck here.
I think they're trapped.
Maybe they feel that there's unfinished business there, that they'd like to see King String pass on. Maybe he's still there and they want him to go.
The team is curious and wants to learn more. But the spirits are no longer interested. They make that very clear.
They told us to take a hike.
Ghost hunters Todd Bonner, Jeff Adkins, and Brandy Miller explore a remote island on the shores of Lake Michigan. They are the first paranormal team to ever investigate there, and the spirits let them know right away they aren't welcome.
They told us to take a hike. If they were getting sick of us, we're kind of invading their territory. Maybe they felt it was like King String again, coming back in and taking over their space. And we weren't welcome there.
The increasingly negative tone worries the team. They rush from the room and run into an islander with interesting information.
What's up? You know, if you guys want some real spooky stuff, there's a building all the way on the south end of the island. I've seen things.
This was on the shoreline. The water, I think, is a big producer of paranormal activity, especially in this location.
There's a lot of energy in the environment that the spirit can use.
As they make their approach, dread looms over them.
It wasn't a pleasant feeling around this location. I want to say almost a creepy feeling. The hair on the back of your neck stood up.
The energy was just super strong, made us feel very uncomfortable and scared.
All of a sudden, a figure appears before Brandy.
She saw a woman in a white dress standing out in front of this building, pointing back towards the road, saying, "Go, you need to leave, get out of here."
Go. You need to go.
Guys, wait. We can't go in.
Brandy tells Todd and Jeff about the woman in white's warning.
Go.
She said that it didn't sound like the woman was saying it in a threatening way, but rather that she was trying to protect us from something darker in the house.
Go.
She gave us a warning. Don't go in.
Yeah.
Despite her plea, they enter the building anyway.
Go.
We push the boundaries sometimes, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it turns out bad.
Unsure of what awaits them, Todd and Jeff start an EVP session.
We were just asking like basic questions. What's your name? How long have you been here?
Brandy becomes extremely anxious as she sees the woman in white again.
Get out.
We have to go.
Brandy kept telling us this lady's getting agitated. She wants you guys to go. Like, I'm protecting you. You need to go.
Again, they ignore the warning.
Jeff and I still have that inquisitive part of us that says, we're not going to go. We're going to push forward and see what we can find.
It's not long before they hear footsteps coming from behind a closed door.
It's locked.
It's very unnerving to know that there's something walking on the other side of this locked door, and you know there's not a person in there to make that sound. It was scary, definitely scary.
The woman in white is desperate for the team to heed her warning.
Leave now.
It was upsetting Brandy.
She also begins to feel sick.
Brandy at that point felt so uneasy, she got up and left. She said, this lady's warning us. She wants us to go because there's something darker here that wants to do harm to us.
With Brandy safely outside, Todd and Jeff boldly press on.
Keep recording.
We ignored the warning, which now I look back, we probably should have took that warning.
They dare to communicate further with the entity.
Yeah.
I said at that point, can you open this door? Because the door was locked.
Can you open up the door for us? Can you do that? Can you open up the door and let us in?
You can't shake this door handle for me like this. Can you do that?
What if you did that and the door just opened, it wasn't locked anymore? Can you open up the door for us?
The tension is almost unbearable.
Everything in your body is telling you to leave. You can't feel at ease, you can't feel comfortable. It was very strong there.
We start to feel that kind of desperation, like we should probably go. We should probably get out of here before something does happen.
Oh my God. We gotta get out of here.
Anxious and unnerved, they run from the home.
What did you hear?
The EVP voice they have captured leaves both investigators shaken to the core. Paranormal investigators Todd Bonner and Jeff Atkins ignore multiple warnings to leave Beaver Island. They are defiant and dare to start an EVP session. This angers the spirits.
No, we gotta get out of here. What did you hear?
The EVP voice they've captured is chilling.
And this EVP is probably the most notorious sounding EVP we've ever gotten. Just because of the tone of the voice, the darkness of it.
What if you did that and the door just opened, it wasn't locked anymore?
It was the scariest audio that we've ever captured. It sounded like two voices. It really quickly says shipwreck, and then it says, I told you to go. But I told you to go sounds like a very dark, almost non-human voice.
I think that voice was a negative presence that the woman in white was warning us about to go. It was lucky that we did leave when we did.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
I don't know what would have happened if we would have stayed longer, really, honestly. Who knows what could have happened to us?
Their time on Beaver Island haunts them to this day.
The experience that we had was one of the scariest experiences that I've ever had as an investigator. It definitely was an unnerving experience.
And for Jeff, that terrifying experience doesn't end there.
About 2 or 3 months later, I was out and about downtown Detroit. I walked into a washroom and I saw a painting on the wall, and I actually recognized the scene in the painting to be from Beaver Island. And at that point, I was just thinking out loud. I said, "Shipwreck, I told you to go."
Shipwreck, I told you to go.
And 5 seconds later, the bathroom went dark.
The light switch actually turned off on its own. Jeff called me. He was shaken up. Something had enough energy to flip that light switch down.
They view Jeff's experience as a final warning, and this time, they won't ignore it.
There's definitely paranormal activity. There are some dark energies on that island that holds a lot of power, and it's just not worth any of our safety to keep going back. I will not investigate there again.
A historic haunted home lives up to its reputation and petrifies paranormal investigators.
Oh my God.
She's right here!
I was shocked. I was frightened. I couldn't believe what had happened.
In Munster, Indiana, stands the historic Caskey House. Built in 1910, the home and inn still has its charm, but it also has a dark secret. The house was entrusted to the Historical Society in 1988, when Helen, the last Caskey descendant to live in the home, passed away. That same year, bizarre and unexplained activity starts.
In the Caskey house, things do happen. People had heard footsteps throughout the house, like a heavy boot, a door that all of a sudden opens or shuts, or a window that does the same thing, or we hear a stray voice that just seems to be coming out of nowhere.
There are also reports that Helen still lingers inside.
People would see a woman standing in the window of the second floor.
One person actually saw Helen. Things like that would scare people.
Even after death, Helen is protective of her home. She isn't fond of strangers who disturb it.
This guy was painting the house, and he was the only one in the house at the time.
Don't do that.
Whatever was there doesn't seem to really like that. It let them know, said that, don't do that.
Do that.
In search of answers, administrators turn to paranormal investigators for help. J.C. Rositas has been working in this field for more than a decade.
I've always been very excited about any investigation that I go to, no matter what the background history. We really work hard to try to explain and see what it is that's actually happening. Why is this happening? Why is this occurring?
JC is the co-founder of Heartland Hauntings. He met his partner, Len Miller, because of the Caskey House investigation.
I was the vice president of the Munster Historical Society for a couple of years. I had experience with paranormal activity there before I met JC. I've always been of the belief that energy cannot be created nor can it be destroyed. Where does it go when we die? And that's ultimately what I'm trying to find out.
The stories coming out of the Caskey House intrigue many ghost hunters, including JC. He arranges to investigate. Len and his daughter, Tori, also take part. As the team sets up, they encounter activity almost immediately.
We heard the sound of footsteps on the floor above us.
You hear that?
Yeah.
It's very distinct. There's nothing else that could be other than footsteps.
Len's police instincts kick in. He races upstairs to investigate.
Checked out all the rooms, all the closets, everything. There's nobody up there.
The team presses on with the investigation, and the spirits aren't far behind.
And a few seconds later, you hear a voice saying,
It almost sounded like it had this, I dare say you use the word sinister.
Then, a terrifying presence sweeps through the room.
Dad!
All of a sudden, my daughter, Tori, she and I felt a gust of wind, like somebody walking in front of us. My eyes went to the air vents. They were not on at all. All the doors and windows were shut, so it couldn't be anything from there.
The team suspects Helen is behind this.
Thought I saw something.
When it comes to interactive entities, everyone's guard should be up. What does it want? What does it want to do? You have to be cautious, you know.
On the main floor, Len has a terrifying experience.
I saw a figure on the porch. It had the form of a human being, but I wasn't able to determine a face or anything like that.
Len rushes outside, but no one's there.
I realized I didn't hear footsteps. And then my mind automatically said, well, you just saw something of the paranormal.
He scans the area in hopes of finding the figure. But instead, something much more sinister finds him and attacks. At the notorious Caskey House in Indiana, paranormal investigator Len Miller believes he has seen the ghost of the woman thought to be haunting the home. But when he goes to find her, something malevolent finds him.
He felt like at one point that there were like a group of people around him.
I didn't have any idea what was happening, but I felt like I was going to have to fight for my life to get out of there.
In sheer terror, Len hurries inside, hoping to find safe haven there.
Outside was something I couldn't explain, something that I felt wanted to hurt me, and it was something that I had to get away from.
He calms his nerves and steels himself to investigate one of the epicenters of the activity, the bedroom where Helen's mother died. There, he witnesses something unforgettable.
Oh my God.
I was shocked. I saw this woman peeking around a corner at us, trying to see what we were doing. I realized it was somebody who's not of this world the moment I saw it.
He thinks this must be Helen.
She appeared to be an older lady. Her hair was in the style that Helen liked to wear. The best way I could describe her, she was solid, but she was also opaque at the same time. It was almost as tangible as you or I.
Len says there's something in the hallway. There's a shadow like a woman that's standing there. I couldn't turn around there fast enough to actually look and see this for myself. But I knew by looking at him, something got his attention.
Did you see her? I see, she's right here.
I wanted to try and find her, but there was nobody on that floor. I went downstairs, there was nobody there. The doors and windows were all shut and locked, so there's no way they could have gotten out without me seeing it.
Then, then, suddenly, the atmosphere in the home changes in the most unexpected way.
It was almost like a calm type of atmosphere. It doesn't seem to have this overbearing sense that there's something to be afraid of.
I didn't feel any animosity. I didn't feel anything that would make me worry. I think she understood why we were there. I don't think she particularly liked it because somebody was in her house, but I think she accepted it.
After the investigation, they present their findings.
Do you need help?
I'll be all right.
At this time, the Munster Historical Society, with the overwhelming evidence that we have given them, have proclaimed the Caskey House to be haunted.
To this day, the house is still very active. JC and Len believe several entities, both good and bad, remain there.
As for the ominous paranormal behavior, I'm not really sure what it means or stands for.
If I had to say that there's anything that's still lingering in my mind about the Caskey House, is getting that big root question that we all have as investigators. Why? Why are these things happening?
This investigation is one of their most memorable, and they still visit the Caskey House from time to time.
We don't mean any harm. We certainly mean no disrespect. We don't want to bother you if you don't want to be bothered.
Helen knows me. The entities know me, so I do firmly believe they realize that I have a great deal of respect and love for the house. I would never do anything to harm it.